Good morning. It's Saturday the 14th, 3 or 4 days before the official beginning of the St. John's semester, January 18th. And I left a little glass of water. Let me get the water before I start because I have a cold. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Half of the Western world is sick, and I have avoided that for the most part, thank heavens. But the last couple of days I've been coughing, and I'm on antibiotics, and I got to drink some water. Okay, my name is Dr. Richard Bernato, and I will be your professor for this upcoming course. I never remember the number of the course. Is it 5743? I think educational planning, and I'm smiling because I love to teach these kinds of courses. These are the courses where I put my feet on the floor in the morning. Nerd that I am. I have a fair amount of experience, just not only because I'm old, but because I just have a lot of experience in organizational change and planning. And so we'll have some fun working this class through. By way of introducing myself, and really the purpose of this is it is an introductory video. It apparently it won't go up any before the 18th because some kind of lock on Canvas will prevent it from going up any sooner than that. So I'm going to try to get it up soon if I can figure that out. But at any rate, this is just an introductory video. It's not meant to turn the world upside down, just for you to get a chance to see who the professor is and what he's about, and get your arms around the syllabus a little bit, and to move things through. So again, my experience is lengthy. I'm smiling again, A, because I'm old, and B, because it's just a lengthy, varied sets of experiences that I've had the good fortune of being part of and contributing to for quite a long time. I won't tell you how long, quite a long time, longer than any of you have been alive, I'm pretty sure. At any rate, so K-12 world as a teacher, K-12 world as a curriculum leader, K-12 world as a principal, K-12 world as a director of humanities, as a director of pupil personnel services, as an assistant superintendent for educational services, aka curriculum and planning and change. Among other things, I'll probably leave. I was a dean a few times too. I'm smiling. So at any rate, and then parallel to that was professoring at a couple of different colleges in social studies education to begin with, in research practices, and then later over to a doctoral program as a professor in three different colleges actually, and ending as an assistant dean at one, and then coming over to St. John's about 10 years ago, a little more than that now, I suppose, as a full-time, and then as a part-time, and now again as a full-time professor in the Albert department. I have taught courses in preparation of candidates like yourself, not only for the doctoral programs, which I actually very much enjoy doing in doctoral research, but also in the professional development, what I call the professional development level, that is to say, postmasters, preparation for leadership, whether it be in the building level license level degree, and or the school district leader licensing approaches as well. Consulted here and there and everywhere. Have written my share of books and articles, and my particular interest nowadays, I have more than you want to know necessarily, is simulation design, which we may find a way to insert into this course, like maybe later in the semester. In simulation design and implementation, but more primarily in change processes, changing people's attitudes, changing people's practices to meet the needs. I hate the phrase I'm going to use of children in the 21st century. Done a lot of material, a lot of work in again in school change processes, strategic planning, shared decision making, curriculum design, and that's who I am. I'll probably put some of my books into the syllabus. I'm not sure if I put them in there yet, which we'll talk more about in a moment. Now, one of the things you need to do, and you can't do it until you see this video and until you see Canvas opening up for yourself, is that I think I put 2 discussion questions up for this first week, and I probably put at least one, and sometimes 2, and sometimes 3, but rarely that, assignments up where discussion paragraph things that you need to put up. Because with an asynchronous course, there's no other way to get to know you and for you to know each other. I'm presuming that some of you know each other from other courses, or perhaps you are coming from the same school programs, and you have an advantage over me. Not a negative one, but an advantage over me because I don't know anyone. Were you in front of me, whether it be synchronous or perish the thought in a physical classroom where we can all see each other and have donuts together, I would have you swinging from the chandeliers pretty quickly because I'm pretty good at that. It's a little harder to get you to do that when you're in 15 different places at 15 different times. So I have to amend some of my practices to meet the needs of the 21st century, and it is what it is. And I'm glad we have a chance to be able to work with each other. But to come back to the discussion question, I don't remember the second one. I'll tell you in a moment. You need to introduce yourself to me. I don't need a dissertation. Good strong paragraph or 2, just telling me who you are, what your strengths are, what your interests are, why you're taking this course, where you are in the program. That's important for me to understand because sometimes I get confused. I cookie cutter everybody into the same program, same level, and then I realize that I'm not doing you any favors by approaching you that way. Tell me anything else you think I'd be interested. I'd be interested in knowing anything you need to tell me, and whatever needs you might have, both personally and in terms insofar as mastering the skills of the course, or in enabling you to meet the needs of a course of a pretty demanding class and a pretty demanding program in order for you to qualify for school leadership certifications. So that's your first discussion question. I'll come back to the other one when I remember it in a moment. I confess that sometimes I get a little bit, some people say it's disorganized. I say it's being creative. Where I might say we're going to do this, this, and this, and then when I hear how the class is responding to me, not necessarily negatively, but in terms of their needs, I feel as a good teacher should do, whether you're teaching 7th grade social studies or whether whatever you may be teaching, to change up. You can't make people do something they're not able to do yet, or where the interest level is. So yeah, there's a syllabus, and I adhere to the syllabus insofar as the assignments are concerned, and sometimes I get flexible about that, but I certainly never move off the objectives. The objectives are the university's decree, and I don't argue with them. I think they're good, so I always stay with them. But I don't feel the need necessarily to marry myself to everything that's in the syllabus right now. So not to worry about that now. I'll give you ample time to adjust and I'll try not to adjust unless I feel that it's in your best interest to adjust. Not my best interest, your best interest. We'll be doing at least one video a week. I would shoot for it coming out on a Friday or a Saturday, but I can't promise you that all the time. Depends on how things are rolling. I'm teaching quite a few courses and mentoring many dissertation students at St. John's, and sometimes That gets in the way of things, but you'll never be the back of the wagon train because I value your needs as well. So start looking more carefully around Fridays or Saturdays once you've seen this one. And I'm talking very fast, so I can hear myself yapping at you. Since this course officially begins on the 18th, the semester begins on the 18th, doesn't mean the class starts on the 18th. But frankly, I probably shoot for Tuesdays in my head as the class. And what I will also do, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this every other week or every week. I'll be doing what I call optional, he shouted, optional office hours for you. In other words, I'll say, hey, I'm going to be on this Tuesday from 6 to 7. If you need to speak to me, let me know you're getting on. Here's the Zoom link. Get on and we'll talk. Which also does not mean that you can't talk to me 24/7, figuratively speaking. By that, I mean, I'm going to give you my phone number in a minute, my cell number. You'll have my email address, and I'll respond to you if you contact me. I'm pretty good at that. Again, depending on my own time frames and so on. But I'm pretty good at rapidly returning to people's needs if they let me know what's going on. Now, if you text me, do a couple of things for me, and that would be A, tell me who you are. Hi, this is John Smith. I'm in your 5743 class. Just tell me that, because I don't need to come back to you and say, who are you? Or I don't need to come back to you and say, what class are you in? Because there's a lot of people in front of me, figuratively speaking and cyber speaking. So I don't want to waste your time on that count. And then you give me an idea of what the need is, and we'll talk. If I think that the need is more complicated than a yes or a no answer or something brief, then we'll schedule a Zoom session, or we will, or you can come on the office hour, or you can call me up. Hello, you can still call me up in these days. You can do TomToms, you can do FaceTime, we can do Zoom and whatever else is out, Microsoft, whatever works for you, I can figure out a way to do. The only thing I don't like to do is Skype. Skype is old, number one, and Skype confuses me, number two. So I am talking too much already. I've said, let's just go to the next place. So I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to bring up the syllabus. The syllabus is in Canvas. That's not the right one. I'm having trouble finding it, but I promise you I have it. There we go. No, wrong one. Oh, that's the right one. All right, so I believe you have the right one in front of you. I don't think I put it in the syllabus column or space. I put it in the module, I'm pretty sure. Okay, here we go. And I'll read at you a bit. And some of the things that are here I've already spoken to. That's my name. That's how you spell it, with a T, not a D. DALE stands for the Department of Administration and Instructional Leadership at St. John's. This course is 5743, Educational Planning, and this is the spring semester. Ordinarily, I don't read course descriptions at people, but let's do it just to get our motor running. Okay, this is based on a framework, which is what we call the 21st century shared leadership model. It focuses on what we speak about as far as human capital. By human capital, we're talking about, obviously, we're talking about people and what people can do together and individually to improve the organization, the school organization in this case, in every way. We're going to look at PLCs, that is to say, professional learning communities, how to recruit and train staff, whether or not mentoring has value, and it does if it's done right. PD, we're going to spend a lot of time on PD. professional development, coaching, and policies. Maybe not so much our policies. And in this day and age, you can't ignore the global initiatives that are out there. So we'll explore those in terms of how they intersect with local, state, and federal policies. And we're going to do it in as many ways as we can, given the limitation of the asynchronous approach. The course objectives, and again, there's several here, have value though. So let's look at them before we gloss over them. Again, the word capital is the word. Now, you may have heard of the word professional capital out of Fullan, Fullan, F-U-L-L-A-N. I forgot the other co-author. He uses that term a lot. Basically, talking about how we nurture staffs to be the best they can be, individually and together. In certain senses, together more important than individually, although there's probably some juries that would say the otherwise. Another objective would be, putting teachers where they needed strategically, all right, to meet kids' needs. I had a teacher in the last semester's class, or rather a principal in it might have been a charter school in Brooklyn. No, it was a public school in Brooklyn, where in one day, 17 immigrant students showed up at her door. They were brought there by a bus. I said, here they are. Nobody told her they were coming. Nobody gave her any background. Here's the 17 babies from another country who couldn't speak English, and all the things you can imagine in terms of obstructions. We talked about this a lot in that particular class, and essentially what we said was that she needed to reorganize her staff, and right quick. Reassign people, send the firemen where they had to be sent, not to stand by and say, well, the fire's not here, so I'll just sit here and wait for them to come to me as such. Recruitment and retaining of high quality teachers, tough problem to solve nowadays, tougher than you think. Teacher shortages exist most every place, not so much in the northeast part of the country, but at least in the New York, Long Island metropolitan area. I'm from Long Island, though I grew up in Queens, if you don't know by my accent. I went to St. John's before you ever heard of St. John's, as a matter of fact. So recruitment's is an important point. Designing a PD can't overemphasize that enough. We think we know how to deliver professional development, and the more I watch it, the more I think we don't. And we'll talk more about that in terms of supervision of teachers as well, which goes to the next bullet about observations and evaluations, supervision. Now, technically, I have to assume that you're taking a supervision class at St. John's, which is, I've taught before. I presume it's still on the books, which in my mind is the most important course in the whole program. Someone differ with me on that, but in the end, if you're going to be a principal or a district leader, you need to know how to supervise people, nurture people, develop people, transform people in order for them to meet kids' needs. I'm going to skip over one. Creating professional learning communities, again, about group teamwork. None of us is as smart as all of us, unless we're all stupid together. We'll talk more about that down the line. And connecting those global issues we spoke about. One of them being, for example, influxes of demographics, demographic groups that we just have not the capacity, had the capacity, or likely also the brains to prepare for. And as always, the issue of family involvement. I don't like the word involvement. I like the word engagement. We'll talk more about that when we get to it. And then we look at, I think, a sort of a two-edged sword in some cases, looking at staff support systems, specifically special ed and diversity in all our classes and so on. Excuse me. I can also think of gifted programs that goes to that, as well as STEM and whatnot. So you're required reading of books that must have in your professional library. I was mentioning Fullen before. There's the other name, Andy Hargraves, Professional Capital. Really a good book. And we're going to get into that book extensively. And Linda Darling Hammond, extremely well-known, internationally known educator, talks about teaching in the flat world. And another book, an individual I think very highly of. We're also going to work from a book assignment. That's a final project that Dr. Koza, professor at St. John's, I assume many of you know, if not have had courses with her, has authored Multi-Age Learning Community in Action, and we'll talk more about that down the line. And I'm going to put my books in here. I didn't put them in yet, but I'll list that another time. I'm not requiring that you get those books. I'm just recommending them for you to take a look at. Now, you know, if you're in the SDL or if you're in the EDD program and you haven't done the internship premise, or if you're in the SBL or SDL certificate courses, there are things you need to do. You need to document 45 hours of integrated internship activities. Get permission from your there's a blackboard here, but that's a mistake. I'll have to fix that. Get permission from your from me, really, to approve the activities that you may do that you can clock in as 45 hours. Again, I see a mistake here. I can't believe I missed this. All right, we're going to use this as a thing. I'm going to change this over the next day or two. I'm going to change the verbiage. It's not going to change the premises of you read the books that were the chapters that I assign. You post questions to discussion as such. So this first week is going to be, well, here are the major assignments. Discussion questions. You see each week there's a different question. Here's your rubric. We're writing an APA. We're not writing any old way. We're going to write an APA using the latest version of that, which I believe is number 7. No plagiarizing, no using chat APT, which I just learned about 2 days ago. These link sites are very important sites for you to get to not only join, but also, well, at least I would say join ASCD, if nothing else, but to get good information from. Now, I think you probably have seen this, but I'm going to do this now to save some time later. You need to know that St. John's University's responsibility is to assure that you have mastered these standards. You're going to be tested on those standards, as I'm sure you know, by way of the various exams, certification exams that you may be taking. And there'll be, all of these standards will be addressed. And here they are. I'm not going to read all of them to you. Shared vision and mission, acting ethically. Believe it or not, this is a new one, standard 3. Equity, I finally got in there. It's only been in there 2 or 3, maybe 2 years now. Equity. All right. Coherent systems of curriculum design. Supportive school environment. Professional development would be the one that speaks most to standard 6. 7 also speaks to that to some extent. There's your family engagement premise. Standard 10, I think, really is an important one for this course, and that is to effectively look at how leaders look at continuous improvement, continuous whole organization improvement, as well as individual student expectations. So the first day of class, you're going to need to read chapter 1 from Fullen. Okay, and you see it just kind of goes from there. So I'm just going to talk about the class 1 and class 2, but we're going to find new ways to examine that. And you can use that link to post that. And then the class 2 is this flat world and teaching in the flat world as well as Fullen. So we'll do that. Now, I don't like to, I'm going to tell you flat out, I do not like, he shouted, I do not like to lecture, except I don't know how to teach a course like this sometimes without lecturing. I'm sorry. So I will be lecturing. And that will constitute at least one, if not all, of the videos I'll be posting each week. Enough said. Let's go back to assignments for a minute. I'm going to save this. There's nothing you need to do straight away. The first thing you need to do is to read the first couple of chapters of each of the 2 books. And we'll come back and talk more about these in a separate video rather than scrambling your brains. Okay. All right. So that's going to be it for now. Well, I'm going to change a little bit of wording on that thing, but essentially the syllabus is how I intend to approach things week by week. But I want to spend more time looking at the assignments in order to not make it too crazy all at once. And then the first piece of it is get the books, get the Koza book and get the other 2 books. Koza book you can sit on for a little bit, but you need the books, and the other 2 books are books that we'll work extensively from. Okay, and I hope to meet you sooner or later, somehow or another. Take care.